Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion begins with the mitzvah of the Shemitah, the sabbatical year. That 6 years you shall work your field, and on the 7th year your land shall lie fallow, and anyone can go into your field, the poor and the needy, and take any of the crop. Just like 6 days a week we work and Shabbat we rest, so too we must let the land lie fallow during the 7th year. Now, the primary mitzvah that the Torah discusses in the Parshat Behar is the mitzvah of charity. And what's the connection between charity and Shemitah? There's a fundamental connection, in addition to the fact that the land lies fallow and the poor and the needy can take whatever they want. You see, when we do the Birkat HaMazon, when we thank God for our food after the meal, the first blessing is thanking God for the sustenance. But the second blessing is No Delucha Hashem Elokeinu Al Shen Chalta Lavoseinu Eretzchem, that we thank God for the land that produced the food. And the question is, why do we thank God for the land that produced the food? Imagine you go to someone's house for dinner and they serve you a beautiful dinner. You say, thank you for the wonderful meal. But you're not going to say thank you for the furniture. Thank you for the rugs in the house. But let's say you were walking outside, you were hungry, thirsty, tired, and you were freezing cold. And then someone invites you into their house and it's warm and they give you a seat to sit and be comfortable and delicious food. Then you would thank the host, not just for the food, but for the beautiful home, the warmth, the comfort, because you would appreciate the fact that he gave you a place to find shelter. We often take for granted the land that God gave us. And we assume, I worked the land, I earned this money, I worked hard. It's my money, why should I give charity? Torah reminds us, you should be grateful not only for the food, for the success, for the abundance, for the prosperity, but the very land that God gave you that enabled you to make this money, to produce the food. That was also a gift from God. And therefore you should give charity to others, because everything you have is from God. And therefore, the land was given to all of mankind for everyone to benefit. It's a story told about this rich man who was having an 80th birthday party. And he had 2 sons. One son was doing well, successful. The other one, his whole life he struggled. He never really found himself. And so the father calls the successful son. He says, listen, I'm having a party. I want you to know that any expenses that you and your brother spend on my party to come, and transportation and clothing or whatever is necessary, I'm going to reimburse you for everything that you do for my honor, because this is my party for my honor. So the son went, he bought the most beautiful tailored clothing for him, dresses for his wife, beautiful outfits for the kids, bought the most beautiful transportation, a beautiful fine carriage, and went to his father's party. And he came out of a beautiful carriage dressed like royalty. When his brother's carriage came, his brother and his family came out with worn and tattered clothing, looking very shabby. After the beautiful party, the next day, the successful son sends a bill to his father for all the expenses for the clothing and the wardrobes for his family and the fine carriage he brought. And the father calls him, and the father says, I'm not paying for any of this. He says, what do you mean? You told me you would reimburse me for any expenses that I spend for your party in your honor. And the father says, that's right, I said I would do and pay you for anything you spent for my honor. But all of that you did, the clothing, the fine carriage, that was for your honor, not for my honor. Because if you really cared about my honor, you would have made sure that your brother showed up dressed beautifully and came in a beautiful carriage as well, and his family looked beautiful as well. Since you didn't, it tells me that you only cared about your honor, not my honor. Hashem says to us, if you care about my honor, then remember to take care of your brothers and your sisters, because they are my children too. And that's the way you honor me, by caring about all of God's children. Have a wonderful Shabbat.